Welcome to this edition of Riskex News Review. 2017 has been a record-breaking year for hurricane activity in the Atlantic Ocean, and the extent of the damage in the Caribbean and the west coast of the United States has been truly shocking. We wish everyone well as they rebuild their lives. The UK and Ireland also experienced a dose of violent weather from ex-Hurricane Ophelia, followed hot on its heels by Storm Brian. In the light of this, the HSE in Northern Ireland published guidelines about health and safety precautions during the clean-up of any storm damage, which I will bring you in just a moment. The significance of health and safety during the hurricane clean-up is a hot topic in the United States, where it has been reported that further deaths are likely during the clean-up operation. In fact, one woman has already died from a flesh-eating bug contracted from the contaminated water from the storm surge flooding at her home. We're bringing you these guidelines as a reminder to us as individuals to take extra care, but also to remind employers about the additional responsibility they face at these times. The health and safety provisions for the clean-up in the USA have been criticised for a lack of safety equipment for workers, inadequate training, and a lack of procedure to keep workers and the public safe. The reminder is simple. When an unusual event takes place which changes normal day-to-day work activities, employers must ensure that workers have the right tools to do the job safely, whether that is equipment, training, or risk assessments. It's also important to consider environmental changes such as contamination from debris like asbestos, or chemicals and pathogens in standing water. Here are the HSE NI's suggestions. Firstly, they remind us that it's essential that all clean-up and repair works are appropriately assessed and carried out safely. In their guidelines, they focus on a number of topics. Firstly, tree damage. Extreme care must be taken when working with fallen or damaged trees. They may be unstable, with the risk of crushing people involved in cutting and removing them. This was tragically proved during the Ophelia storm, when one man in Tipperary lost his life in a chainsaw accident while he was attempting to clear a fallen tree. Next, damage to fragile roofs. Access onto fragile roofs, such as corrugated iron, asbestos, PVC skylights and so on, damaged during the storm should only be done with appropriate equipment to prevent anyone falling through the roof. Commonly, there can be damage to power lines. If electrical power lines had been blown down, or if there are any exposed electrical conductors, you must not go near and you should dial 999 if there's any risk to the public. To report an electrical emergency, call UK Power Networks on 0800 3163 105 or 105, free to call from a landline or a mobile phone. Next is scaffolding. Scaffolding must be thoroughly inspected by a competent person before being brought back into use. The vulnerability of scaffolding in high winds was seen a couple of years ago in Tehran, as this short clip shows. This enormous 35-storey structure came loose in over 75 km/h winds and fell to the ground, which started from the base and causing the whole entire network to collapse. And closer to home, Storm Brian caused scaffolding to collapse in Cobham High Street as high winds battered Surrey. Cranes are next, which should be inspected for damage prior to being brought back into service, in accordance with the manufacturer's manual. And finally, construction sites. Excavations and partially completed structures should be thoroughly inspected for strength and stability. The vulnerability of building sites was shown during the Ophelia storm, where the front of a building in Glasgow partially collapsed at around 4 a.m. due to the strength of the wind. The building had been empty for more than a year due to concerns about the stability of the bay windows, which were due for renovation, and an exclusion zone had been placed around the building. This contained the debris, and thankfully nobody was hurt. It's not possible to detail every work-related activity that needs attention as a result of storm damage, but it is essential that employers take account of storms and the impact that they may have had on normal work activities. We can hope that we've seen the last of the hurricanes for this year, but with the UK's winter approaching, we might have some storms yet to come. So stay safe out there and take all the necessary precautions. But as this next clip shows, sometimes you maybe can't plan for everything.
Don't swim in the sea. Incredibly, people have been spotted in the water here in Blackrock and Salthill both today and yesterday.
From all of us here at Riskex, thanks for watching, and see you again soon.